Welcome to VAExpert.guru. My name is Chris Stewart, and I'm a VA home loan specialist. So if you have questions about the VA home loan program, I'm here to help. I think it would be helpful if we talked about some common misconceptions about the VA home loan program that a lot of veterans have, and or a lot of other people have as well. And please don't get mad at me if I tell you something different than what you have heard or what your understanding is. My goal here is really to help veterans better understand the VA home loan program and better understand this great benefit that they have. One of the common misconceptions that a lot of veterans have is that the home loan process starts with getting a copy of their certificate of eligibility, or what we call the COE. And it's really not the first step. It is an important step, but honestly, if you know you meet the service requirements, if you were discharged honorably, and you have a copy of your DD-214, your discharge paperwork, you pretty much already know that you're going to qualify as far as the VA is concerned. What you need to do is apply with an experienced, and I'm going to stress experienced, VA home loan lender. You don't want to apply with somebody that dabbles in VA loans or especially have never done a VA loan. You want to work with somebody that is experienced with the loan program because it's different than other loan programs. So the application is really the starting point. Another common misconception that I hear every now and then is the veteran unfortunately thinks that they're guaranteed a VA home loan due to their service. And it is a benefit that you've earned, and that's why the service requirements are important and the honorable discharge is important. But you still have to go through the application process. You still have to qualify for a VA home mortgage just like you would with just about any other mortgage program out there, which means they're going to look at credit, they're going to look at income, they're going to look at debt, they're going to look at, the lender's going to look at you and just make sure that you can actually get qualified for the VA home loan. Another thing I hear a lot is that there's no appraisal on a VA home loans. There are some refinance, what's called an interest rate reduction, that can, in some cases, not have an appraisal. But if you're buying a home or you're doing a cash out refinance on a VA home loan, an appraisal is always required to have, which brings me up to the next most common misconception that veterans have, and that's that the VA pays for their appraisal. No, the VA actually doesn't pay for your appraisal. This is something you're going to come out of pocket for. Appraisals can range anywhere from $400 to $650, and they vary based on the state and the area within the state that you're located. I also hear veterans say that they don't have closing costs, and there are closing costs on every VA loan. Some of the closing costs, or whatever the lender is going to charge you to do the loan, which is regulated by the VA, and they can't charge a lot of crazy fees. The lender can't charge a lot of crazy fees like they can on other loan programs. It's very narrow on what they can charge and what they can't charge. However, you do have things like attorney fees, you have inspections, you have the appraisal like we mentioned before. You're going to have to pay your homeowner's insurance premium at closing. That's your insurance on the house, and you have to have that. And there's going to be some few other sundry closing costs that are included. So you do have closing costs. Now, it is possible to have the seller contribute to pay part or maybe all of those closing costs. And that could be where that misconception is coming from, where sellers have paid closing costs in the past, and the word gets out that, hey, I didn't have to pay any closing costs. And then that gets translated into there are no closing costs on a VA home loan, but that is not true. Another one that stems from the same misconception about closing costs is that the VA pays the veterans closing costs, and that's not true either. The VA does not pay anything. In fact, there's actually a funding fee on a VA loan that goes to the VA. I'll get into this into a different video that explains that. Now, this funding fee is waived if the veteran is service-connected disabled, but that's another closing cost. So the VA does not pay your closing costs. Another thing that I hear from veterans every now and then is they have this misconception that the benefit amount that is on their certificate of eligibility or their COE, that amount, which is usually $36,000, is how much they can borrow on the VA home loan program. And that amount does have some impact on how much you can borrow. That's your base benefit amount. And I'll get into later on a different video of how that benefit works, because you also have an extended benefit, which a lot of veterans don't know about. But it has very little to do with how much you can borrow. Lenders really are going to look at your debt-to-income ratio. Your debt-to-income ratio and the guidelines that they have to stick within the VA guidelines is what determines how much you can borrow. And honestly, a lot of times veterans can afford a lot more home than they want. And one of the funniest things I did early on is a veteran called, and I can't remember exactly how much he could qualify for, but it was a large sum of money. I don't know, $300,000-$400,000. And I was just excited that I was new fairly in the lending business. I was excited that I was able to get a veteran pre-approved, and I told him, "You're pre-approved for $400,000," and they got mad at me. They thought that I was trying to give them a $400,000 loan, and that's not at all what I was trying to do. And so now a lot of times don't even tell veterans how much they can qualify for. I just ask them, where's your comfort range? And then if they ask me, can they go higher? I say, yeah, you can go higher. And if they ask me how far they can go, then I'll tell them. But I don't want to make any more veterans angry because they think I'm trying to put them into a big old house, and I'm really not. My goal is to try to help them get into where their comfort level is. And I guess one of the last misconceptions that I hear from time to time, especially from realtors, buyer's agents, which represent the veteran, the buyer, and sometimes listing agents, which represent the seller or the selling agent, they have this misconception that it takes forever to close a VA home loan. And honestly, if the lender that you're working with knows what they're doing, they should be able to get it closed in 3 or 4 weeks at the most, barring any unforeseen hurdles or problems within the lending process. But a lot of realtors think that it takes 60 to 90 days. I've heard 120 days to close a VA loan. And I think where this misconception comes from is really doesn't have anything to do with the veteran community. It's the realtors that have worked with a veteran, and that veteran was working with a lender that had no clue what they were doing. They didn't understand the VA loan program, and a lender can get lost real quick because there's a couple extra steps. It's not hard at all. It's actually easier for me to do a VA loan than it is any other loan program because I do them all day, every day, and I'm very familiar with the loan process. But other lenders will get lost, and it can actually cost the veteran money because the process gets delayed. And I've even seen some lenders where they just can't get it closed, and the veteran unfortunately loses the house. So again, I'm going to come back, even though we're doing this video about misconceptions, I want to emphasize that you work with an experienced VA home loan person. And speaking of experienced people that work with the VA home loan program, if you're ready to get started on your VA home loan, please visit me at vaexpert.guru and click on the Apply Now button so we can get you started in the home lending process, get you started on your VA home loan. Or you can send me an email at chris@vaexpert.guru if you have questions. And if you found the information here helpful, please share my website, vaexpert.guru, and these videos, these informative videos, with other veterans. Have a good day.